Welcome to the Elevate and Dommenate podcast, where we dive deep into the world of dominance and submission, kink, and everything BDSM. I'm Goddess Aroya, here to challenge the myths, break down taboos, and empower you in your journey.
And I'm Mistress Odessa. We're here to educate, inform, and explore the truths of power exchange, consent, and the psychology behind kink. Because knowledge is the key to safe, fulfilling play.
And this is Orpheus Black. This isn't about play. It's about connection, growth, and understanding the deeper layers of dominance and submission. So whether you're a seasoned player or just beginning your journey, this is for you.
Let's elevate the conversation
And dominate the narrative.
Welcome
to Elevate and
Dominate.
Dominate.
Greetings, lovely listeners. Welcome back to the Elevate and Dominate podcast. I am your host, Goddess Aroya Lessons, and these are my two wonderful hosts, Mistress Odessa and Guru Orpheus Black. Today, we are really going to have a conversation. I'm going to let these two have a conversation. I'm going to insert myself every now and then, ask some questions. But we are going to have a discussion on polyamory. Odessa has some questions, and Orpheus definitely has some answers. If y'all know him,
I sure don't.
big old brain. He knows a
You
lot
know
of
what?
information.
I keep my poly information behind a paywall.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? I have an emotional paywall up right now, and if you don't shing, I can't give out no information.
Well, what's the shing shing? What do we got to do with shing today?
I think I need to see boobs.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. So
One lady that was just in here with the
you
murder.
can see mine
Murder
tomorrow.
mysteries.
Hold up.
That's not boobs, that's cleavage.
I'm all excited. I'm like, damn.
Two boobs here.
You know what? I do it for the people. You know what I'm saying? I do it for the people. I do it for the fans.
I guess you do.
Polyamory or boobs?
For the boobs.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends. You know what I mean? But
If that's what they want to see.
you know
I mean,
what
boobs
I
do
think that
have... Go ahead.
Patreon. That's for Patreon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't for me. It was for the people in the Patreon. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I only saw that kind of stuff on my OnlyFans, so.
Well, we're gonna give some YouTube some of this too, so be careful. Be careful.
All right, fine.
I got my
But
dog.
anyway,
She ran right in here. You are your father's dog, aren't you? Jesus.
you heard that?
Yeah, all right.
She's
You
right
are your
here.
father's dog. It's hilarious.
He loves movies.
Black people, I think black people have a very different relationship to their pets.
Seriously, we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Black people curse their dogs out basically all day. Not all of us, the majority of us. We treat them like kids. Like, get your ass off of that thing over there. And
You know,
dogs
like you
looking
ain't supposed to be up on that thing over there.
right. And you know damn
Like,
well.
you're just a baby. Oh, you're just a baby.
Yeah, very different.
All right, get out of here, though. Okay, now you want to sit right here. All right, that's fine. Okay. You wanna
But
finish that?
okay, I'm gonna let y'all get into it. Odessa, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago on the podcast when we had
Yes.
our solo interview, and you were, inquiring more about the steps to take towards polyamory.
Yes.
And I'm a novice, and we do have a guru here in many things. And so I think it's great that we could take some time and just ask some questions that possibly our viewers may have as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was asking, just for a little background, is my partner and I have kind of discussed like potentially opening up at some point in the future. And I don't know, you and I were just having girl chat, and I was like, which means that I'm not ready for it, but I just don't fully understand it, like how one can make sure they don't get jealous, or like, I don't know, it's just something that I think is really beautiful. And I've been in open relationships before, but it was, it wasn't as serious as what I'm in now. So I don't know. I'm just curious about it, and I don't know, I believe you shared with us a while ago how you kind of first discovered it. But can you go over that again and tell me a little bit more about your early days?
Yeah, I've been getting trouble as of lately for going through my early days, so I'm going to have to, put this caveat out there that I too was a child at one point in time, and I too made some bad choices like everyone else does. And just because I have Guru on my name doesn't mean I don't make bad choices. You know what I mean? So that being said, I, for the bulk of my life, have always wanted to be in a relationship with more than one person. You know, because I'm heterosexual, the sex of the person tends to be female. Okay. So when I was in preschool, I had a crush on a girl and she had her little boyfriend. And I was like, that's cool. And we move over. We gonna both cuddle up in this little playhouse up in here. We all three of us up in here. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it.
right?
Like, there's no room in the sandbox.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you like sand, I like sand. What's up? We should all do this, you know? So I was always that person. And, you know, the second person I dated, and I can't say this enough because this is my favorite part of the story. I dated in elementary school, 5th grade, the most beautiful girl in all the lands. She was talked about in whispers. Everybody knew of her, but no one saw her. Right. And she would get off the school bus in front of my school after everyone had left because she was coming from a different school. And by chance, I got to meet her. And we had a little dynamic and I made bad choices. So I loved and lost. But I met her. She handed me to her cousin, literally said, you know what? She was breaking up with me. Her cousin showed up, said, you guys should date. You know, she's like, I'm cool with it. You cool with it? She said, yeah, she cool with it. And I rode away from my ex-girlfriend's house with my new girlfriend on my handlebars.
Okay.
Right, on my handlebars, down PCH to the boardwalk. It was sunset. Yeah, I've got my new girlfriend on there. She's laying on my chest. You know what I'm saying? I was getting my pedal on, right? And then we had a little dynamic, and then she fell in love with my best friend.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't cool with it yet because we didn't get a chance to really get into where we was going. He kind of got in there really a little too early for me, right? But after that moment, it was always had other women, and it was always cheating under the guise of cheating, right?
Wait,
So
you were cheating, or
I
that
was
you were
cheating. I was cheating on a lot of women at one time. I mean, a ridiculous amount of women at one time. And I'm not proud of that. You know what I mean? Like, it was a horrible, I did some horrible things to those people because they all thought I was living with them. Like, I was like with 6 or 7 people and they all thought I was their partner exclusively.
Oh, okay. So like legit cheating. Okay. Got it. Because I was like, you know, some people are like, oh, well, like we're together. And I'm like, but we haven't had that discussion. So like technically, I see.
Nah, I was like, I'm your man. I'm showing up. I live in your house. I eat your food. I contribute to rent. Right. You know, and one of them had a kid. One of them had a kid that was help raising.
Wow.
I cheated. And my mom contacted, my mom, because I was filtering everybody through my mom's house. Because mom back in the days would just pick up a phone. Oh, he's not here. Take a message. Instead of using my pager at the time. And so my mom said, I know what's going on. And you're going to call all these women back right now. And you're going to tell them what's going on. Right. And she said, worst case scenario, they break up with you, but at least they respect you.
Wow.
Right. And since then, I never went back. And so who stayed was Indigo and Dawn were the people who stayed. And we moved from there. Please. Thank you. So that's how that's how I started polyamory. Then me and Indigo and Dawn became an item.
I mean, listen, everyone's done some crazy shit that we're not proud of, every single person. And if they say they don't, like, those are the people that
you better watch.
Is watch documentaries. Okay.
Yeah. Because they still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. So that was how I got into polyamory, and I've never looked back. I've never wanted to look back. And in fact, now when I can't be polyamorous, I get a little itchy. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
So do you mind me asking, are the females that you're in a relationship with, are they also with other men, or you the main man, you the main squeeze?
well, I'd love to be the main man, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, no. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's see. So we, as of recently, we've had some changes. So I had a partner. I have a partner who has a spouse.
Okay.
Right. I had a partner who had a husband. Indigo has a partner. I think I only have two partners that don't have partners other than me.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. That I'm aware of. I mean, they could be doing something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can't pass nobody right now, you know what I mean? Just saying.
So I'm assuming there's a discussion that should be had when entering like such a dynamic. Can you tell me about that?
I think that there should be a caveat here where I don't do poly, I do intentional relationship design. Because what I realize is when I say poly, everybody has a different idea of what poly is, and nobody's is the same. Right. And so there's a lot of judgment. Oh, you're not doing poly, you're doing swing, or you're doing this, you're doing that. I create the relational ecosystem that I thrive best in.
Okay. Beautiful.
Right. That's what I try to do. And I try to make it equitable, not equal. Right. And so to me, that's my goal because I'm also a poly dominant. Right. And so as dominants, we know that there's a power imbalance. There are things that my subs, which my partners are usually my subs, can and can't do because they are my subs. But there's also things that they can and can't do because they're my partners, just like there's things that I can't and can't do because I'm their partner. Right? So so that being said, the conversations that I like to have evolved over the years. Before it was just me and Indigo, and me and Indigo like to go out, we call it hunting. We would go out and we would meet people and we would date people. So there was no real conversation because she was there for all the conversations. Do you see what I'm saying? Then me and Indigo met another person and we kind of became polyfidelitous, and it was kind of like she just wanted to blend in. So she was like, I don't care if I'm with it or not, but if you want to include me, I'm with it. But other than that, I don't need to know it.
Yeah.
Right?
What word did you use? Poly what?
Fidelitas.
Fidelitas. Okay, I've never heard of
Explain that.
Yeah.
So polyfidelitas is a very old term. And what it means is we have a closed poly unit. And usually we have to sit down and all agree on who we open it up to.
Okay.
And in what way. Right. I think something similar it's a type of kitchen table poly. Right. So that's a kind of thing. Then we met another person and it changed again because this person was in porn. And so we had to have constant conversation about is this sex for work? Is this sex for fun? Is this play for this? Is this play for that? And so our conversation started shaping around that. Then we merged families. And so we had about 25 people in our group, in our poly family. And so we had two representatives of each family.
Dang.
And they would have the individual conversations with each other. And then we would come together and represent our families. And then we would switch and then we would talk to each other's families just to make sure we're all coherent. And then we bring everybody together.
Wow.
And we would do that every time we do it. And then people after that could pair off in whatever kind of dynamics that they wanted to pair off in.
Wow. That's
so
interesting.
I'm like posting a party.
Right?
All right.
So the conversation has changed, but I think if we're talking about what the average person is doing, the average person should be recognizing what is their requirements, what are their needs, and what are their wants, right? So it's like a business negotiation. There's something that if we're going to make this merger happen, there are requirements that need to be met. Like I don't want to lose time, right? If someone else comes in and I have to lose time, I think that time requirement is like a deal breaker for me. Right? There's things I need. I need to have trust, honesty, openness. I need to make sure that people are being transparent because they're not all the same thing. Wants. I want to have freaky sex. I want to have group sex. I want to have company. I want to have companionship. I want to have more people who are adding to my happiness and no one taking away from it. Right? So you can say, what are your requirements in order to be in this polyamorous relationship? Right? And then what do you need in order to feel happy or joy or pleasure? right? What do you want? Meaning it's going to make you happy, but if you don't get it, it's not a deal breaker.
Mm.
On the cake, right? So to me, that's another way of that's the type of conversation that I would have. But most people will never get to that place because most people are, I have a wonderful graphic for this. Most people are in a monopoly relationship where one person is monopoling the other person's time, efforts, emotions, economics, so on and so forth. And that's the person who believes that they usually have the least amount of power.
That's real.
So it's a hidden power dynamic. Yeah. Right. They're like, you don't understand. And I'm just usually a person who identifies as a girl. I'm just a girl and I don't, but they're pulling all the strings behind the scenes. Right. And so they hide behind this powerlessness, but they exhibit all the power. They're monopolizing the other person and they're leveraging it. And that becomes an issue. So my job is to usually get people into a place where they can have an open relationship. And what open means to me is they're in a relationship where they are open to making mutually beneficial relationship alterations so that everyone can be happy. Doesn't mean that they're going to do it. They're not in the moving forward phase. They're just in the talking about it phase. Because if we can't talk about it without someone having feelings and emotions and anger and upsetness, we damn sure can't act on it.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be emotions and feelings and stuff like that. And I mean, I guess I'm just inputting some of the things because I know in the beginning, I was always thinking basically this kind of pushed me to deal with my emotions more and kind of feel like understand what are the things in other past relationships that made me feel insecure, made me feel as if I couldn't speak to the person, and what made me run from situations. And I realize like in this dynamic like this, you have to really be secure within yourself. You have to know like that you
I
have
think so.
value in the relationship. I mean, I feel like I do. Personally, I have had to. I've had to like reevaluate my my confidence in ways in certain situations. I've had to identify, those little things that held me away from relationships in the past because it's hard to be in a situation where you have other people that you could potentially, be insecure about something on you and this other person may have the thing you don't have. There's different things. I think that's a different mindset for a woman because we come into things where sometimes it's like there's a competition, but when you realize, oh, it's not a competition, it's me. I have to deal with the things within me to be able to be in this relationship too.
The enemy, the enemy is the inner me, right? That's the thing that people say. The enemy is the inner me. But here's the thing. There's an ideal way of going into poly, or there's an ideal way of going into a relationship, and there's the real way of going into a relationship. And most people go into a relationship not healed, not happy, trauma. They're still doing all these things. So yeah, we could talk about the ideal way of doing it, but nobody does it that way. So I don't know why that we strive for this optimal thing. Most people are doing on the job training, right?
Real.
So again, if we can have the conversations and the person's working with feelings on it, then stop the conversation, come back to it later. Come back and maybe they can do 10 minutes without getting into their feelings about it. Okay, stop the conversation. Come back. Now they're doing an hour in this conversation, and they're able to navigate and then they get triggered. Wait until you can have the conversation and there's not any feelings because the feelings that are coming up are triggers. And this conversation are triggering their insecurities, right? It's triggering their whatever it is that's going to come up in a relationship. So if we can't talk about it now without those things motivating their behavior, then you're not going to be able to do anything moving forward. The number one poly problem that I see is patience. There's always one partner that's poly who's pushing the timeline. The other person's not poly, and they're getting drug along.
That's deep.
Right? And this other person like running and this other person is just getting drugged behind them. And it's not a good thing. Both people have to be operating within the same time continuum.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important for that the person who's the most skilled and most apt and the most desirous of the poly relationship slows down so that they can be with and help that other person navigate this space. It's like a Sherpa going up and leaving their person at the base of the mountain. Yeah, you can go up there fast, but we can't.
Yeah, no, it's I just had a thought and it like left me, but no, it's I love that you said that. Like it's like when people are just like being dragged behind, it's like it's there's so many fine lines from what you're saying. It's like if someone is like running too fast and the other person's being dragged, then it's like that person that's running too fast and like doesn't care that the other person's being dragged or can't see that, then is also maybe in a part of polyamory or that type of situation where they shouldn't necessarily be there because they can't see that like this isn't actually healthy for this person who I'm in a relationship with. So, and again, maybe not on purpose, but if you can't see that, then like it's also a problem. And also the person who's like holding on, not being able to say like, yo, I think I cannot keep up with you.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Slow down.
And also people have really unrealistic expectations. Like almost every guy, I'm not gonna say every guy, almost every cisgendered man that I meet that opens up the poly conversation almost always regrets it.
Why do you say that?
Why?
Because they're thinking, oh, she's gonna be poly, and we're gonna go out, and I'm gonna get to have sex with all these chicks, and I'm gonna do all these things, I'm gonna do all that, and then they realize they're back in the dating pool, and she can get men way faster than he can get women.
True.
Now he's alone, and someone's out there having great sex with some other man.
I know that's
then
not
he wants to.
funny, but
It's true, you know what I mean? It's like, and so now she's having the time of her life, and now he's gonna want to shut it down because he ain't getting what he wants, but she's getting what she needs, right? And now she's got an emotional attachment to this person, and it's like, well, you want me to leave this person because you're insecure, and yeah, of course he is. Okay, so to me, if both people just slow down and move at the same time, at the same pace, right, we're less likely to fracture our relationships.
Yeah. So have you been in a situation where that's like, I mean, I'm sure it has, but like on both sides where like you were like kind of like moving forward and the person in some sense was maybe being dragged behind, obviously maybe not on purpose, or the other person was just like out doing their thing and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Like this is like, you're sprinting now and I'm being dragged along.
I would say I'm probably in that situation maybe now.
Wait, which one? Both of them.
Where I feel like I call it the itchies, where I'm like, damn, like I feel like a little contained, like I'm in a Fidelitas dynamic, not by choice.
Okay.
I'm in a Fidelis relationship because the people that I'm with aren't ready to move, and so I have to wait with them.
I see.
You know what I mean? And I don't feel bad about it. I'm not angry about it or upset about it. It's just you have to I just get the itchies. It's like, and and I feel like it's a somatic response that reminds me to not be who I was. You know what I mean? So that I don't make the mistakes, so that I don't go out there. And I mean, I've even got a little itchy right here. It's just I think maybe some kind of psychosomatic response to remind me not to be, because I don't cheat. I don't cheat because I don't want to. Not because of the residual effect. It's like I don't want to be that person anymore. And I know this feeling. I know the feeling of being boxed in, or what I consider monogamous becomes a situation which would create the context by which I would have stepped out before.
Yeah. And I'm sure like you probably can still feel that drop in your stomach when your mama was like, you could better call all these women. And that there's certain parts in life where there's that drop in your stomach where you're like, oh, talk about itchiness. Like, hell no. I'm not doing that again.
And I ran into, maybe 5 years ago, I ran into the woman who had the child in a market. She was working security at a market. And I saw her and I was like, shit, I think she saw me. I saw her. I should probably go up and say something, maybe apologize for what I did. And she punched me dead in the chest.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she hit me dead in the chest, like boom, like hard.
Whoa.
You deserve
and was
it.
the verge of tears. She was so angry with me because I haven't seen her. Well, I went back to the house after she found out she was gone. I hadn't seen her in like a decade. And she was like, how long she cried, and the baby was asking what happened to you, and she thought that I got rid of you, and she put all this on me, and you did this to me. And I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, I deserve all this. You know what I mean? I deserve all that heat, and I don't ever want to do that to somebody else. And so when I get the itchies, it's just kind of to me a reminder to not do that to other people, but also not be that person for myself.
About itchies, when they're like this, you scratch them and then eventually they go.
It'll go away.
Yep. Eventually they go away. That's all you can really do.
You just check on Clover because she's getting on my makeup. What you doing over there?
You know, I want to know. Oh, nice.
No, she was just over there, and I heard her tinkling around, and I was like,
No, we was looking at the legs. The Patreon go crazy.
Well, that's so crazy. But wow.
What were you gonna say, Oracle?
I was wondering, how did you deal with the families? How did your families deal with you being in a polyamorous relationship? How did that impact? Because I know you're a person who likes to bring family around. And I mean, outside of the poly family, your actual blood relative family, how do they respond to that?
Well, my side, here's the thing that benefited me, and it's a very rare situation. When Dawn and Indigo and I were in a relationship, I had known Dawn since I was 15. So she knew my mom, she knew my grandmother, she knew she knew both sides of the family, right? I knew Indigo's family since I was 16, 15, 16,
Okay.
right? And then Dawn and Indigo's sister went to preschool together, right? Families were already in proximity to each other,
Okay.
right? So when I started dating Indigo, they knew about Dawn and just didn't ask any questions, right? Dawn kind of kept it from her mother, but eventually found out because she saw me and Indigo in the parking lot. She had to have that difficult conversation. I told my mom right off the bat. I was like, you know, but my family, I got the worst blowback from my family because my family doesn't really deal with me. When they found out I was poly, they just kind of just stopped inviting
Going
me to
crazy.
the functions. They just went into that space.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
That's
yeah.
crazy. You're like, I have these beautiful women around me. You're welcome. Say hello. Like, that's crazy. That's how. But I mean, I guess everyone has their thing. I'm so sorry to hear that.
But is
You
that
know,
why? Go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say this is goes back to that Patrice O'Neill joke where he says, black people would be conservative Republicans if they would stop talking about race. It's like because we go to church, we're very staunch.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
very biblical, very moral people. It's like if they didn't talk about race, we would all be Republican right now, right? Because that's a we have very conservative values,
True.
and
True.
if you stray from those values and you're digressing from or you're deviating from the norm, they will separate themselves. Just like when people are in a conservative household, most of the time they put them out, or a conservative church, they put them away, or they put them through conversion therapy or something like that. So that's very much me. I just got ostracized because I was open and honest about the lifestyle that I was leading. If I kept it under wraps, if I was cheating, that would have been fine because my cousin was a big lecherous, cheating, was doing all kinds of stuff, driving around with multiple women in his car. But because he kept it on, he feigned shame about it because he was hiding it. He's accepted.
Mm.
I'm not because I'm open and honest and transparent and choose to live in accordance with this.
I feel that. I feel that. Sometimes I feel like low key a little, not really judged, but just like for certain decisions that I've made in life, I do feel like that family, like, it's like not like my
Mhm.
family because I am somewhat like the matriarch in my family, so people really defer to me for a lot of things. But in a way, I feel the difference now that they know my
Mhm.
career and they know what I'm doing, and I'm not the same person I used to be. But also, I am the same person. I'm still the same person that they can come to and everything like that. But sometimes I do feel like family is like, okay, what you going through right now? Like, oh, it's a phase. Like, oh no, I'm actually happy. It's like, okay, well, that's good. And so it is. I often wonder if that can be a deterrent for people that are entering a polyamorous relationship. Just the outside, the stigma of, and not being able to handle that stigma from the outside. And then just, even though you're happy in the relationship, it's just like, you know what? I don't want to deal with everybody else. So I'm just going to defer my happiness so I don't have to deal with everybody else.
And the thing is, and I hate to put this out there, but it would be better for the family to stay involved, because when they do that, they remove their influence, a potential influence that they could use to convert that person back, or that they could do to pressure that person back into a situation or whatever, right? But what they do is, when they take away their presence, what they only leave the external family, the other external connections, the other friend group. They become, so dependent on those other people. Now it's a lifeline, because there is nothing else. And so all they've done is force the person to really integrate with this other aspect of life. Whereas they could just continue to love that person and, share their opinions, share their thoughts, share their feelings in a constructive way that's beneficial, right? But they would be able to still maintain some influence and some presence in that person's life.
So what would be some advice that you would give to someone in both your shoes and also your family's shoes?
Some advice that I would give.
Yeah, when it comes to this.
Fall in commitment, don't fall in love right off the bat, because this isn't a thing where you make good love decisions. Love decisions don't make long-term success, if that's what you want to do. I want long-term success. Most people are like, oh, I just want to date this person and have really close friends with benefits and all that. That's great when you're friggin' 30 or you're 20 years old. But when you get to 40, 50 and you start looking at my retirement plan, my 401k, I need to buy a house, and being in partnership might help make that happen. We may need to raise kids or take care of some parents, right? All of those things are better when you have a community of people who can help share that load and share that burden. So, is this person someone that you can be committed to? Is this someone that you can be loyal to? Is this someone that you can build with? Is this someone you can connect with? Because at the end of the day, everybody's sex life tapers off. Everybody starts to get older and not as attractive when they're younger, all that stuff. So if you're going to plan for the long haul when you make your choices, right? Look, I gotta be honest, because I'm me, I can date pretty regularly, even at this age. But I'm like, what am I gonna do with an 18-year-old? You know what I mean? Yeah, they're hot and they're young and nubile and fun and all that. But what am I going to do with an 18-year-old?
Right.
Right? Why? That's me talking to my libido. Yeah, I'm turned on, I'm aroused, but that's not going to be something I'm going to build with for the rest of my life.
Right. That's gonna be something you be taking care of for a while too. That's another kid looking for a father, or not necessarily, but they looking for that figure. And so that's taking on another
They should
situation.
all, I'm going to impede their life. I'm going to impede their growth and their development, right?
Yeah.
Because I take up a lot of space. You know what I mean? So, I'm a dom and poly, and we have family, and you have group connections, group responsibilities, group commitments, lifestyle commitments, polyamorous commitments. Come on, you should be out there partying and doing whatever you do and having fun, learning your life lessons, right? Not up under me, right? So there's not a lot of 18-year-olds who are ready to sit down and start planning out their future and looking for a long-term group of people that they can build with. That's if I found it, that would be a real good conversation, but I've never seen it.
Right, right.
Even the things you said earlier of the conversations, I wrote it down, the requirements, the needs, and the wants, like just having that, like just as like even someone I'm in a serious relationship, like even that I'm like, oh yeah, like that, like let's sit down and like have these kinds of conversations more, like, and I'm 36, like that's double. So I mean,
Right. Absolutely. And to be honest with you, like, so I met a person who was like Puerto Rican, Afro Puerto Rican, 32 years old, right? And you're like, what the hell are you gonna do with a 32-year-old? Right? And they're like, yeah, but I have two houses, I I'm going to school for XYZ. I'm in UCLA. I'm looking to buy a home that is outside of the country. I want to expand my portfolio. And you're like, damn, shit, like, do your thing. You know what I mean? Like that's a thing. I want kids and I have to have a ring. I have to go to church and I'm like, oh, you're looking for a type of poly that I don't do.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I think if all the things were in line, I think I could come back with that person in this group and go, first of all, hot, sexy, kinky, submissive, bisexual, has a portfolio, is been poly since they were able to date, right? And is looking forward to be a part of a larger unit. I think probably everybody in this dynamic will go, that makes sense. Like, I think we could all try and see what happens with this, and I think most people would have probably been open to having the conversation, because I always say open to having the conversation, not open to doing anything. But that's a rarity. That's a rarity, right? So many people are just looking to put their penis in something and they know who I'm talking about, right? They're looking to have the sex and they know who I'm talking about. But you don't need to be polyamorous to have sex with multiple people, right? You can be a swinger. Yeah. Polysexual, polycommunal, polyrelational, polydominant or plural dominance. Those are all different things.
So what's tell me the distinct difference between polyamory and swinging?
So polyamory implies the idea that I have multiple love connections with multiple people, right? Swinging is often a person who is open to going to a place to have sex with a group of people, usually random, anonymous kind of sex party at an event, right? Swapping is where couples meet each other and then switch spouse. So notice when you say polyamory, in the title, there's nothing that says sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a sticking point because there's a lot of people who's like, I want to be polysexual, but I don't want to be polyamorous.
Interesting.
Or you can have sex with somebody, but you can't fall in love with somebody, right? Or you can fall in love with a person, you can have sex with a person, but you can't be in a relationship with the person, right?
Yeah.
Or you can have sex and you can fall in love and you can be in a relationship, but y'all can't live together, right? So when we're having a conversation, you have to be as detailed as humanly possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Roya, hearing all of this, like how do you feel, or like tell me like what's going on in your head right now?
These are conversations that we've had before, so it's nothing new to me. It's not like I'm what we've had these conversations before. It's definitely I'm always learning when it comes to Orpheus. Either learning more about myself or more about this relationship and this dynamic and how it could grow. And I think that is something that I have never experienced. I've always I think there's been situations that, you think you're in love with someone, but they're not willing to fight for not necessarily fight, but like, they're there for you. They want to make it better. They want to work on it. And I haven't had that. And I can honestly say we've had more conversations about him being like, I want you to be happy. I want like, let's talk about this because I want you to be happy. And I've never had that, it felt very foreign at first and it felt like, oh, this is some bullshit, low key in the very beginning, like, really? And no, he's time and time again showed me that this is like, he's very serious about the relationship. He really wants it to grow. We have great times together. We have, and even with the insecurities that I have about, just being who I am, my rough housing, goofy person, he like can work with that. And everybody I always told him, like, I don't think they like me. He's like, no, they don't like you. But I've had situations with each person. I've had conversations and engagement with people. And I've grown to truly love these people, and it's a family. And I feel like I'm a part of a unit that I feel comfortable. At first, I was very nervous about it, especially telling my kids and telling my mom and telling everybody. But now I'm like, no, this is me. I'm happy here and I have any fear of, not being able to talk to him about the situation. And that's just something I have never had.
That is true. You have said that to me, that like she's like, one, I've never seen you so happy, but two, just like that you are always checked in on, like you feel cared for. You like, there's times where you're like, man, like he's just like wants to know how I'm feeling today. Like, what the fuck? Like, get out of here. And then like it's beautiful. Like I think it's beautiful. I know you've mentioned some of those things to me before, and I want to say thank you for taking care of one of the people I love the most. Like it's and
I think like in
It's
the
not a
beginning.
hardship. It's not a hardship. You know what I mean? It's like you get blessings and lessons, and all of it comes with work.
Yeah.
Gotta
And I
work
feel
it
like we've been
all.
able to have some really hard conversations that I may have ran from in the past. And I've been able to evaluate myself prior to the conversation and really have the right things to say. And then this is one thing that I used to always say with a lot of my exes. I can never just walk off into the sunset with your ass. It's always like at the end of the argument, well, fuck this, kick down the door. And I'm a Gemini. Let's kick it down then. Shit, let's kick it down. But no, he's like, no, let's talk. Let's have this conversation. I've never felt the need to raise my voice. I've never felt the need to be like, I can't talk to him about that.
Although she's done all of that.
I have, but I take my time and then I come back and I'm
I think another thing is like people have this idea of what me and Indigo's relationship is, but they often don't see the work that we do. We are constantly vacillating after 30 years. Who does what? You know what I mean? Can you imagine like there's patterns and then there's broken patterns and there's patterns that you haven't broke. My shoes are still everywhere. You know what I mean? Oracle can tell you my shoes are everywhere and they're not small. I got, I have like
he has
5
a
pairs of
lot of
size
shoes.
13 around on the floor. Right. And she's had to deal with that. And she's done it with grace and she's done it with love and she's done it with care. But I know it annoys the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and she does stuff that annoys me too. But if we think about all the patterns, the bad patterns that we've broken over 30 years, all the way we've met each other, not just look at the things that we haven't broke, but all the things we have, I think that success rate speaks for itself, right? Because changed in ways that we can't even remember all the bad things or horrible things or annoying things that we used to do. These are just the ones hardest to get rid of. We're still working on.
Yeah, I love that. If that's the case, leave your shoes everywhere. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know what I'm saying? So when I get into a conversation with Aroya, I'm like, look, I got the next 10, 15, 20 years to work this out. You don't have to do it right now. We can argue about this right now, and it might come up in another 6 months, and it might come up in another year, and it might come up in another 2 years. Well, I got the rest of my life to figure this out. But that's when I say if you can commit, if you can be in a committed space, you don't feel the pressure to be everything right now.
I love the one thing that he says often
I love
to me.
that.
The one thing
What'd
you
you say?
say that I truly do love, you say, I'll be like, oh, I look crazy. And if you still care, I still love it. Like, I still like it. I'm like, really? Like, last week we hung out and I didn't have any makeup on. My hair was looking crazy. And I was like,
And she was
wow.
looking
Like,
good.
I didn't even
And
say
she was looking
anything.
good.
And he was like,
Looking good. Yeah. You know that the time, I might be just speaking for dudes in the hood, but you know what the best time to catch a woman is on the way to the laundromat. You know what I'm
oh,
saying?
really?
Because she got
Hair
the worst
all
clothes.
crazy?
This is the worst she's ever going to look. The worst. And if you like her right now, imagine when she go home and put on the good clothes and when she put on her makeup and she do her hair and she get ready. She finna blow your mind if she look good like this. She wearing the granny panties, the ones that come up under here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about.
You
Got
ain't never
monthly
seen my
panties,
granny
you know what I'm
panties
saying?
now. Hold up. You ain't never
You know what I'm
seen my
saying?
granny panties, thank God.
The raggedy, yep. Them raggedy sweats or them cut off jeans that she pull out only to do laundry in, hair up, spraggles everywhere. You know what I'm saying? If you catch her and she look good like that to you, imagine what she gonna look like when she get back to the house
When
and she
she
put some
gets them
effort into it.
stilettos on, you know what I mean?
Hey, you know what? My ex-wife, I married 3 women on the same day, and
Special.
my ex-wife, our first time we played, I met her at a park, and all my friends conspired to put us in a situation where we got together. And she was like, I was like, I'm going to teach it. I said, what are you doing after? She's like, oh, I'm going to this class. This guy named Orpheus Black is teaching it. He's supposed to be really good. And I'm like, hey, that's me, baby. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's me. And you know what? I'm going to get you in free. And you know what? Not only am I going to get you, I'm going to put you front row. Bro, you know what I'm saying? Right there. You're going to get the whole show.
I
Wait,
got
You know what I'm
I'm
saying? I got you.
wait. I'm so sorry because I love it, but also he's so just like smooth as honey.
I
You
married
just
3 women on the
right
same.
over. So I'm
Ooh.
married 3 women on the same day. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Let's talk
Okay,
about
that's
that.
a cute story, but hold on. Front row,
Well,
yeah. Put
wait.
me.
Let me tie the story in. Well, so she stayed for the after party, and I convinced her to play. And she was like, I don't know if I want to play because I wasn't prepared to play. So I'm like, okay, well, she's like, I was like, there's a bathroom over there if you need to check any lady stuff or freshen up or do anything, there's a bathroom. And she came back and she was like, okay, I'm ready. And she took off her pants and she had them granny panties on, them control top nude granny panties that they sell like it.
And you was like, I
And
like it, baby.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Because you know what? She wore it because she didn't think she was going to do nothing. She
Hell
was like,
yeah.
that's
So
exactly
she
why she
wasn't
wore it.
loose.
I was special. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
So funny. That's crazy. But he found the silver lining in the granny panty,
See, that's what I'm saying. I find I was raised with all women, and my aunts used to say, like if your girl wear the granny panties, it's to remind her that she ain't gonna sleep with you on the first date because she don't want nobody to see her in those
That's
things. And
real.
that's real,
It's real.
right? So I got her down to the granny panties. I was like, right, and we was together. And after that, we were together 8 years. 8 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she helped me raise we all raised kids together, and we were together for a long time, and it was special. But see, those are things that I look for. People are looking for this venal, oh, look at her boobs and look at her abs and look at her this and look at her that. I'm like looking at the things that to me are going to add to how much value she brings to my life, how much she's putting herself in these uncomfortable positions to be with me in this space. And that's very important to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
So I'm pausing. Okay, so what were you going to talk about? My getting married?
I'm literally thinking, I'm like, no wonder you were like, what am I gonna do with the 18-year-old? They ain't got no granny panties, of course.
Ain't no granny panties at 18.
Right. Exactly. She'd have to be wearing her granny's panties. And let's be honest, if she's 18, more than likely her granny is my age.
Right. And her granny ain't having it.
You know what I'm saying?
Where's your granny at? That's the fun one.
That's it. Hey,
Hold up, that's my homeboy. Hold up, that's my
you know what I'm
friend.
saying? Let me make sure I know your mama. Show me a picture of your mama so we can make sure that I ain't date her back in the days.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Hey. Like, your mom doesn't go to this park, does she?
Right. Tell your mama Ray outside.
Guru is here.
I want to tell your mama I'm here.
You good.
Oh my god.
Otis. You Otis. God, that's funny.
Oh my god. I don't even know anymore.
Can I please weigh in on a conversation? I want to weigh in on a conversation that's been going on the internet.
Okay.
Mm,
Uh-oh.
about coffee dates.
Okay.
So on Black TikTok, I've been seeing this thing where a lot of Black women are like, girl, don't let him take you out for no coffee date. You got more value than that. You are more important. You worth more. If a man can't take me out for dinner, at least dinner and maybe a movie, then he can't date me. And guys are like, what's wrong with a coffee date?
Dude, avocado toast is expensive as fuck. I don't know what people are talking about.
That part.
And
That part.
coffee's not cheap anymore. It's not like he's taking you on a $2 date. I mean, you can get a good coffee and have great conversation.
It's not McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's not that. But let me say this. Here's one thing I know as a 50-year-old man. If a person, specifically a woman, want to spend time with you, she don't care what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? The people who are having this conversation are people who are either in it because they don't want to pay for a meal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they don't like you like that.
Right.
So if you
They have
offer a coffee
ulterior
date
motives.
and or you just not they dude. But if the perfect man for that woman walks through the door and says, you want to go on a coffee date, she's gonna be like, you damn right. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But
Yeah,
to
I wouldn't
me,
let that stop me.
that's what I'm saying. But now if it's a guy that you kind of about, you're like, oh, well, he wants to take me out to a dinner. Okay, I'll go get a free meal, see how I feel about it, see if we got a vibe or something. It's a check-in, right? If they ain't ready to go for a coffee date, then I know they're not into me.
Right.
Not checking for me.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
Yeah, it's true, because typically a coffee date, right, is like, I mean, typically you're not drinking. So there's no, like, you can't, like, have this, like, side thing that's going to get your boundaries down in a weird way. And also, a coffee date can turn into a date, which can then turn into dinner. Like, that's actually a
Yeah,
bigger commitment.
That part.
for sure.
And I've been on coffee dates that went hours.
Yeah.
And I feel like on a coffee date, you're gonna have a stimulating conversation. You're gonna probably talk a little bit longer and a little more in depth. It's gonna not be so surface as opposed to having drinks or having dinner. Because at dinner, you're gonna be, okay, I'm dressed in my best and I'm trying to impress, and everything I say is gonna be impressive. Coffee is like, I'm relaxed, I'm chill. This coffee is gonna stimulate me. We can talk about some other things. I like that. I think that's but that's us. I think we're a little older, and a lot of the relationships are moving a lot of fast, but it's more sexually fast. So coffee
Yeah.
don't insinuate that we're gonna have sex. It doesn't even feel like sex would happen after coffee, at a young age.
Speak for
At a
yourself.
young
Speak for
age.
yourself.
I'm
I've
talking
been
about
doing
at a
coffee
young
dates
age.
forever.
I'm talking
I've
about
been doing the coffee forever.
okay.
I've
Well,
been
you're
doing this since I was a teen.
Yeah.
a
It's
little
so
different
interesting.
there.
When I was single, the first date, I would always make the attempt to pay. If they would like be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go run to the restroom," I would always pay.
You
Like,
would?
yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. She's shocked. She's shocked too. Yeah, always on the first one, I would always pay. Like, no matter how expensive it was, I would always try to pay, because it was
Why?
just because it, like, if I wanted to go out with you, then I wanted to go out with you. It was never I never wanted it to be about a free dinner. I never wanted it to
I
be
like
about,
that.
like, if I'm gonna fuck you, then I'm gonna fuck you.
I'm gonna fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's part two. It's like if you really want to go out with that person, you really want to have a meal, then just say, hey, you know what? Let's go out for dinner. I'll pay. You know what I mean? Just be very
Yeah.
upfront. Or the other thing that I would say, and I get major pushback on this, tell the person that if you're going out and you're not interested in them sexually or even romantically, just tell them right off the bat. But most of the time when I say that, they're like, well, then, but he's not going to take me out on a date then.
Then you don't want him to. Like, what?
This sounds like
That's
we're
a
setting
waste of both
Right?
people's time.
Exactly. Exactly. So I would say this for the guy. I say this to the guys. Look, just use it as a barometer by which you measure her level of interest in you, right?
Mm,
Because if you're buying your way into her favor, that's what that you're setting a precedent, and that's what it's going to always be. If they really want to spend time with you, they will. And if they want it to be dinner, right? They'll make it happen in a way,
yeah.
right? Or there's ways of going about it, but in my opinion, to me, the guys who are going for a coffee date are often looking for content. And there's a lot of women who put more into their facade and not into their intellect. And so a lot of people don't want to have this, and again, I've had conversations with an ex where she's the Barbie of the group. And I was so upset because I'm the Barbie of the group. And they were like, do you really want to pay $100, $200, $300 to have that conversation?
Over and over. The longest conversation ever. You got to sit there for an hour and finish the food with them saying that. Yeah, that's a
It's
lot.
funny at work, we always joke around. It's like, oh, that could have been email. We're like, girl, that could have been a text.
Yeah, don't worry.
Exactly. So, all right, back to the poly things. So yeah. Yeah. So where are we at now? Where in this kind of poly conversation are we?
To get married to 3 women in one day.
Back to that.
That part. Okay. So I didn't legally get married to people because I would be a bigamist if I actually married them. But we did have a ceremony. We had a space. We invited family out. We flew one person's mother from Florida to here, and we had a whole. We had they walked down the aisles. We played the music. We had a spiritual leader there. We had, a group of elders who went through it. So it was kind of a hand fasting / collaring / wedding. And we got married. And I've done that twice in my life, right? Once slightly larger group of people, and then we reified it when we became this quad. So in poly back in the days, what used to happen is you used to do a thing called a water ceremony.
Explain.
Okay. So there's a book called Stranger in a Strange Land, and it's by Robert Heinlein. And Robert Heinlein unknowingly started the free love movement based on this book, right? And in this thing, this person called each other water brothers because water was a source of life. And so sharing water with other people is symbolic of sharing a life together, right? And so poly marriages were done, they were called water ceremonies.
How did
right?
they have?
And you were just like I was saying, like you get together and you share water together. Like maybe everybody does it differently, but the cups that I have on my altar are absolutely 100% silver, right? And they're one of the most expensive things I own. And the giant goblets, and we did a ceremony. We put all our intentions. We all drank from the same cup. We all made the same vow to stay together. And for the most part, with the exception of two people, we're all still together, right? So me, Divinity, Cat, Indigo. Yeah, I think Dawn wasn't there. And then there was two other people who are no longer here that shared in that ceremony. But for the most part, we're still all together. So there's a lot of tradition that kind of flew under the radar. I actually interviewed a person who talked to Robert Heinlein about polyamory and about water ceremonies and what that looked like because they were childhood friends.
That's amazing.
He knew people who were already living in poly groups, and he was kind of just bringing it to the surface. Right. So if you ever want to get a chance, it's a hard book to read. It's not the best book, but it is a pivotal polyamorous kind of thing. It goes over many different forms of polyamory.
Mm. Interesting. I'm gonna check that out.
I used to make all my partners read it.
Really?
My mentor used to make all his potential play partners read 180 Days of Sodom.
Yeah, you told me that. Because there's some wretched things in there, right?
Well, he's like, you can't consent if you don't know what you're consenting to. And that thing goes into so much. It's sensationalism, it's all this, but it's like, let me just give you a book where, all these depraved things happen. Now come back and have the conversation and negotiate.
I bet you'll know what you want then.
Exactly. You definitely know what you don't want.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you're getting into a serious situation, any situation that's serious, if someone's like, I need you to read this to understand just a little bit more of it. Like if someone's not even willing to do that, then I think that in itself shows something, right? Or it's like, okay, well, you're not even willing to learn a little bit about this or like go through the hardship of what's in these pages when, applying to, even if like what you read in these pages can be hard, but to apply it to life is going to be even harder. So if someone's not willing to do that, then like that's kind of a sign in itself. It's like, okay, well then maybe you're not ready to even move to the next step. You can't even open a book.
I have a question for Odessa. What are the things that you most fear about polyamory and opening up your relationship?
Well, I think a lot of it is, I'm still in the patterns of previous relationships where I've been kind of taught to be insecure about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of being left behind or abandoned or like whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it's just like dominant or not, professionally or mentally. Like, I'm still a woman who has been scorned or maybe is scorned or whatever it may be. And I think there's a lot of that where it's like I feel right now I have a very beautiful life that I never thought I'd have. And so the fear of the potential to lose that is big. However, I do know that I'm actually reading this book, and it's really funny. I was going to bring this up, maybe not this time, but this book, I sent it to you guys, and it talks a lot about there is prey, or there's predators when there's prey, like that quote that I fucking love that quote. I think about like literally every day now, but it talks a lot about that. And like one of the things it also talks about is, this stagnant energy of like intuition. So it's like if you are very comfortable with this old intuition that you have, like when you get stuck in that, then you can't move forward. Like you have to kind of be in a little bit of not like fear, but discomfort that will allow you to grow in a way that you want to. So I know that like it's that part of it too, is like there will be a discomfort because I will have to let part of like this beauty that I have found die. But in that
it can grow into something even more beautiful. Yeah.
Pruning of like a bonsai tree or something, right? It's like, I know pruning will have to happen. It's just a conversation that we've had. So it's like, again, those three things, the requirements, the needs, the wants, like that's going to be a conversation that's like, it's going to be heavy to have, because I don't think I've ever really had it in a sense of this is something I'm a little uncomfortable with right now. But like, if I want to pursue that with you, then like I need to have it. So it's just like this like back and forth essentially.
And Orpheus, what about like I know I don't know. Are there rules that can be negotiated between two people when entering into a relationship like that? Are there like rules that you can set together, or how should that be approached?
Like rules. Some people, again, first of all, yeah, right. When we start talking about poly, there are a lot of people who don't want rules. They do polyanarchy or anarchy relationship styles. They don't want any rules. They don't want any boundaries. They just want to be, kind of go where their emotions take them. Okay. And then there's people who are in nested, committed relationships, and they need to have agreements, not rules, right? That are going to help them make better decisions when they're out with other people, or how they date, who they date, where they date, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And those are the type of guardrails that they need in order to make better decisions for themselves. If people give rules to people that they don't trust, right? And it's usually if you do this, then I'm leaving. If you do that, then I'm going to divorce you. If you do right, then I can't be with you, right? Those are rules, right? Stop at the sign or you'll get a ticket, right? So I think I like to have the idea that what are the agreements that we should have so that both of us feel good moving forward from this space.
Agreements.
Agree.
Yeah, it reminds you of the 4 agreements. So okay, so let's rephrase the question then. So what would be maybe the top 3 to like 5 or whatever, however many you want to share, questions that you think are important to address at the beginning of
You and the black girls?
Hold on, let me write it down. Number 1. You know it.
It's different for everybody. Like, I don't tend to date straight women. So I usually date specifically bisexual women, sometimes heteroflexible women. So it's really important that I don't get with a straight woman because I'm not going to be a good partner for her. So my first question is, are you straight? Right? Or how do you identify sexually? Something like that.
By the way, questionably heterosexual. Questionably straight.
Questionably heterosexual. Yes. I like the idea. I like to hunt with my partners. I like to be able to be as transparent as humanly possible. So I like to meet potential other partners with my partner. Right. So a person who's, like bisexual is oftentimes more inclined to be able to be in a position where they can do that with me. Not to say everybody can or everybody will, but that's just a big thing for me. So seeing a question about what their sexuality is, what their proclivities are, to kind of give you an idea if sex is going to be possible and what that relational narrative is going to look like. How do they identify relationally? Are you monogamous? Are you monogamish? And then following that up with like, hey, what does that mean for you? Right? Those are some great questions. I mean, there's lots of great questions that you could ask. Are you poly? You know, when you say poly, what does that mean? Right? Because I could say poly to 50 million different people and get 50 million different answers.
Yeah.
So, you know, the other thing that person needs to understand is just because you're poly doesn't mean that just because I'm poly, I shouldn't expect you to be poly, right? There's in likewise too, if I'm straight, I shouldn't expect you to be. I mean, if I'm monogamous, I shouldn't expect you to be monogamous.
I was just thinking that as you said that, yeah.
Right. And the other thing is, so based on that criteria, if I was in a relationship with a person who's monogamous, I would say, but do you expect me to be monogamous?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's get this
Right.
straight.
Yeah, exactly. That's like me being straight and they saying they're bisexual, but I'm like, but I'm going to need you to be straight. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing. So it's like, I don't, if a person's monogamous and I say I'm poly and they don't have the expectation that I'm going to be poly, I think maybe we can, if they're monogamous and I'm poly, but they didn't expect me to become monogamous, we could try it. If I could continue to live my life and do what I want to do, because here's the thing. There's a difference between even and equitable. Oftentimes, this person will be monogamous, but when I say I'm poly, they're going to like, well, you know what? If you're going to have somebody, I'm going to have somebody. They're getting even. You know what I mean? And that to me gives me an inclination that they may be a little vengeful, that they're going to try and spite me if they feel slighted. You know what I mean? So that to me is a warning kind of sign in that moment, right? But why would a person stop being true to who they are to get even with me? That violates any sense of integrity, right?
A lot of people don't know who they are.
What'd you say?
I said a lot of people don't know who they are.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it is a good
But
point.
again, but if they tell me they're monogamous, and I say I'm poly, well, if you're going to be dating people, I need to date people. Well, I just thought you were monogamous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's right.
Yeah. Now you
Right?
want to change because this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work.
It's not going to work.
No.
It's just not going to work. So I find that like bisexual, cisgendered women who are polyamorous or relationally fluid are the people that work best for me. And I'm always kind of skewing towards that direction. Also, they have to be in kink and they usually should be submissive. Those are the questions I'm going to ask because those are the people that's the identity of the person I need to be with.
You know, what is this concept of? I was looking at Instagram the other day and I seen this girl post that she is solo poly or poly solo. What is that?
Yeah.
She explain that.
So solo poly means that she's unpartnered.
Mm.
And she doesn't desire to have partnerships. So people used to call it free range poly. People called it archetype, anarchy poly. There was 50 million words for it back in the days. But at the end of the day, it just means that they don't plan on having any committed, nested relationships.
So they're single.
Right.
You know, and this is the thing that they get mad about when you say, I always say, well, what's the difference between that and dating?
Right. It's just
They
because you
have a
need a
reason.
label. But let me stop. Okay, because I don't know. But it seems like that's like somebody that needs a label. You know?
I don't know. I've asked 50 million people and I've got 50 million different answers and none of them made sense to me. I'm quite sure there's out there who does have a way of explaining it in a way that makes a distinction between the two. But to me, it just feels like dating, right? I'm single. I go out, I meet this person, I do whatever I want because I'm under no obligation to anyone for anything. But also to me, I don't think that requires poly because it infers connection. Now, a person might say, well, I might have a connection here and a connection with this person and a connection with this person. but it's not a commitment to those persons, right? Is there an expectation that they have of you and that you have of them? Maybe we can even go there. I don't know. But that's what that means, is basically someone who is usually untethered and is freely dating or interacting with couples and others and singles and blah, blah, blah within their, and they're calling it poly.
So interesting.
That's
I used to
interesting.
call that just being a treat. That's what I used to call it when I was host stage. I don't know, but I guess I'm old now. I don't know. I was the
I'm
host stage.
true.
Yeah, my friend said that one time when I was stoned, I called it being a snack, but I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I was a treat. So, but I don't know. I don't know. Okay, whatever. I guess people need titles. I don't know.
For about a year, I was the most loathed person in polyamory because I wrote an article for Black and Poly. And the sentiment of the piece was, if there's a definition for what you do, then it's not poly.
Okay.
Right. And so I did this test, and it was like, if you go to a party with your wife and they go one way and you go the other and you have sex with other people, is that A, swinging? Is that B, dating? Is it poly? Is it blah, blah, blah? I think everybody knows that that's swinging.
Swinging.
Right? So people were calling swinging poly. And I'm like, it's not poly. Right? And so I went through this whole Q&A test, and people were angry. I got so much hate from it. I got locked out of parties and stuff because I posted that thing. But you know what people couldn't do? They couldn't say I was wrong. I'm like, you can be mad, you can say, you can have your feelings, but point out where I'm wrong, right? But what I've come to find out is everyone has their own definition of what poly is, and they live it differently. And so everybody's going by their own definition, which means it's undefinable. So I've just moved my thing out of polyamory and just say, hey, I do intentional relationship design. I carefully craft, and like an artisan, you know what I mean? It's a carefully crafted relationship dynamic where both of us can thrive and reach our maximum potential in relationship to one another. It's a simple pitch.
Yeah. He
It's a
hypnotized
pitch.
with that. You don't let him touch your fingers. You put something on him, and then you're hypnotized.
I was like, what do you mean?
Keep your hands to yourself.
What do
Tuck your fingers. Tuck your finger.
When me and Oracle first met, I said, I have a pitch that I give to everybody, and I've never missed with this pitch. I've given, every time I've given the pitch, I've never missed.
I mean, to be fair, we are where we are now, so go ahead.
Right.
I'm not going to say what the pitch is.
Right, because then everybody's going to be like,
pitch?
they're gonna find the Orpheus resistant, the pitch resistor.
Exactly, the pitch resistor, exactly. But
down.
now I'll walk up to people and meet them. They'll be like, "Is this the pitch? Is this the pitch?
Right.
Is this the pitch? Are you pitching me right now?" You know what I mean?
You'll know. It's your fingers.
You'll know.
You will know.
You know what I mean?
You will know.
But it's really, to me, you're always pitching.
That's true. What are you doing, Clover?
This is a whole.
She wants to pitch.
Clover wants the pitch.
Get over here. Listen real well. Why are you wet? Get out of here.
Why are you wet? That's what he said.
You know, I was about to say that.
You know why.
But I think this is a great time for us to wrap this up. We've been on here for a while, and I'm going to use these segments to put on Patreon. I'm going to have these segments on YouTube as well. I'm going to be separating them so we can have different conversations and maybe open up the conversation to our audience to get them a little bit more engaged, because I know, people have different views on things. So I think this will be great to open up to the audience. But with that said, I would like to thank you guys again for corralling with me here on the Elevate and Dommenate podcast. We are
corralling.
Yeah, corralling. We're like we're a group. We're corralled together.
Unit. Orpheus.
It's a different kind of unit.
Yeah, maybe my language isn't right for that.
Odessa, when did you become a valley girl? Okay, okay.
She totally is a valley girl.
No, years ago, so we can end on after this. years ago, I think it was like when I first started smoking weed. It was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I remember being stoned and being like, I am literally half a white girl. And I was shook. I was taken aback.
That's when you realized that you were half a white girl.
Yeah. I was like, oh no.
Like,
What's the other
I'm
half?
Filipino and Filipino. She's like, wait,
When
I'm
you
a
gonna do
half
some
a white
Filipino
girl.
martial arts with us? You gotta come out, let your heritage out. You do some Filipino martial arts with us.
I'll just make the rice. It's cool. I'll be that bitch. I'll make the rice. It's cool.
How much water are you supposed to put in there?
Right here, baby.
Why do we all know that? That is crazy. That's crazy.
Listen, I love my mother, but he's white. I'm
My
like,
Filipino
this right
baby
here.
Exactly. We all know. We all know how much water
is
supposed to go in the
funny.
pan.
That was funny. That was hilarious. Well, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Just
That's the Elevate and Dominate sign now. The right sign.
I gotta take his sunglasses off. That's how you know we're fucking good.
There you go. There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Next chapter. Let's go.
Well, thank you
There you
guys
go.
for joining us once again on the Elevate and Dominate podcast. I am Goddess Aroya. This is Guru Orpheus Black, and we have wonderful, wonderful Miss Odessa. And we thank you for joining us once again for another spectacular show, and we will see you again later. Peace.
Peace.
On the yond. Peace. We're going to cut that part out. Oh, wait.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Elevate and Dominate podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Stay tuned every other week as we continue to unravel the mysteries of dominance and submission with a twist. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and share your thoughts using hashtag Elevate and DOMMENATE. Until next time, embrace your desires, explore the unknown, and always remember, power is meant to be shared.